Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new video. So happy to have you guys here. I am currently at the library right now recording this video because I wanted to give you guys a visual so that we can be successful at following along and doing it ourselves eventually, which is what I feel like my videos are all about. They're all about getting you guys, the viewers, the astrologers, to do your own chart, and see if anything that I'm saying checks out for you in your chart. So today we're going to be talking about dimensional astrology. I have talked about this briefly in another video. The video is currently private. However, perhaps you have seen it. So the video was about Taurus living in a consumer-based reality, and how living in a consumer-based reality when perhaps you don't have like any planets in the second house, how difficult that can be, and how maybe Tauruses or people with a lot of planets in the second house, specifically maybe like Venus or Sun, how they can just seem like they are just doing the damn thing in this dimension. So I'm bringing this video back, but this is going to be a little bit different. Instead of us focusing specifically on the second house, we're going to be focusing on stelliums as well as just any other random house that I think about. This can be applied to all 12 houses. Okay. And the whole point, the whole objective of this video is so that if you are not sure where which dimension a lot of your energy is coming from, you'll know by the end of this video, hopefully, and how to channel energy from a certain dimension based upon where your planets are, because that's what the 12 houses are. The 12 houses are 12 different dimensions. There are a lot of people that say that there are 12 dimensions, there are more than 12, etc., and etc. But we're looking at this particular chart as as kind of like a foundation for the dimensions of reality. Okay. And all the dimensions of reality are working simultaneously with each other. This is why we have bodies that move. It's not moving from the third dimension. Oh, yeah. The basis of my body moving is not from the third dimension. The second dimension. The body is a part of the second dimension, but it is not moving from the second dimension, if that makes sense. I know it does. So, and this is a little bit of what I talked about in that video. And the reason why I'm bringing this back is because I really want just us to know, especially this cosmic awareness, for us to know where our energy is coming from, which dimension we're really operating from, honoring and respecting that dimension, and using it to our benefit. Hello. Because just because you might not have a stellium in the second house doesn't mean that you cannot live cohesively, abundantly in the second dimension. Okay. So let's talk a little bit more about what the second dimension is. So the second dimension is earth. Okay. It is materials. Okay. It's rock, it's grass, it's, again, it's material. And also our bodies are a part of the second house because our bodies come from earth. So the second dimension is the second house in astrology is rules over values, assets, possessions, and as well as so many other things. But those are the main ones. So let me go ahead and mark up this chart. So here we have someone who has a sun in Capricorn in the fifth, a moon in Aquarius in the seventh house, and a Leo rising. So this is a random chart that I created. Okay. And as we see, this person's ascendant, so let's use green, starts at 21 degree. Wow, that was terrible. Okay, so let me use like a smaller kind of like, yeah. So this person's ascendant starts at 21 degree Leo. Now I'm using Placidus for this. However, you can use whole signs if you desire. The reason why I'm using Placidus is because I do feel like Placidus is more personal. This person is a Leo rising at 21 degree. They're not just a Leo rising. And so that's personally why I think it's important. I do think the degrees matter. So let's get the elephant out of the room, why don't we? This person has a large stellium in the sixth house. Okay, we have 4 planets in Aquarius, and then we have Neptune in Cap. All right, but we see this concentration in the sixth house. So a lot of this person's energy is coming from the sixth dimension, the sixth dimension of time and space, the sixth dimension of appointments and scheduling, keeping track of routines, also of domestic animals, of health. Okay. So, as we see here, we have Jupiter, Mars, Uranus, Venus retrograde, all in Aquarius. Okay. So, Mars is the planet of what? Of drive. This is the planet of aggression and of initiative. So, if this person ever is feeling lazy for some reason, feeling like they don't want to do something or whatever the case may be, they just need a little umph. They when they get that little umph, they're literally channeling from the sixth dimension. Okay, the sixth dimension is the dimension of service as well. And it has to do with how we not necessarily give to others per se, but sure, how we give to others. And so this person gives to their community, gives to their friends, their networks, things of that nature. Okay, so that's just a little bit about this person who has a stellium in the sixth house. Now, let's talk about if you don't have stelliums, because not everybody has a stellium. Now, let's first talk what is a stellium, which probably I should have mentioned that in the beginning. A stellium is when you have 3 or more planets in a particular house or sign, house and or sign. Okay, so let's go to Gemini. There are no planets here in Gemini. But remember, we are a 21 degree Leo. So let's go to 21 degree Gemini, which is over here, I believe. Right? Hold on. Yeah. 21 degree Gemini, which is in the 11th house. The 11th house of what? Of groups, of networks, of circles, of and sorry, of events, okay, as well as gains. So, this person has 21 degree Gemini in the 11th house. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Let me change this to brown. Mercury in Sag in the 4th house. So we're talking about the 11th, and now we're talking about the 4th. And this is, again, specifically for people who do not have a stellium. And even just looking at the rest of your chart, because, of course, not everybody has a stellium in every house. So this person's gains, friends, etc., okay, has a lot to do with what? With their mind, with the way that they communicate. Okay, because remember, as we look at when we look at the Lord, we're looking at the foundational energy of that particular sign. Okay, so remember, this person has, as we see, a Sagittarius Mercury in the 4th house. So what does this mean? This could be a very general, very general example. This person, and also let's keep in mind, let me just throw it out there too. Virgo is also ruled by Mercury, and we have Virgo at 21 degree in the 2nd house. So in this current dimension. Well, not in this current dimension because all dimensions exist, but the dimension of income and of earnings. Okay. All right. So, and of resources. So this person's Gemini here is making contacts that Mercury is ignited by that 2nd house Virgo and that 11th house Gemini, which again, the 11th house has to do with friends and gains. Okay, so what's the fourth house or the fourth dimension? The fourth dimension is the dimension of the home, okay, of family dynamics, of ancestors, of property, of land, but specifically shelter, the home, okay, the mom as well. So this person, perhaps, let's say, hypothetically, this person is a foreigner. So they currently do not live in the home country that they were born in. But let's say they take vacations there. So they decide to go on a voyage to this, to their home country. And so, what would aid in this person's relationship to the second dimension and the 11th dimension is conversation, the conversation that's happening around them and that they're having in their home country or during the voyage after the specifically during the voyage, as well as any thoughts, ideas that they're having, any skills that they're picking up there. And just another hypothetical, let's say your family comes from a foreign country. You could be going back to your mom's home country, and the same thing still applies. What conversations are you overhearing? What's the kind of what are you mostly doing with your hands, or what do a lot of people there do with their hands? Okay, this can definitely help this Sagittarius fourth house person, um, in the second dimension of resources, of income, and of valuables. Okay, they can learn a lot about what is actually valuable, and also this can help them a lot with their groups, networkings, and their friends, and like soul tribes and people who they associate themselves with. Okay, so that's just an example. If you don't have planets in the, let's say you don't have a stellium, or you're just looking at a another house within your chart that doesn't have any planets. So let me go ahead and erase this part. We're going to talk a little bit more about the stellium and how this person is operating from the sixth dimension. Okay, so this person is kind of like a conduit of six dimensional energy. So right now, I know a lot of people are talking about 5D, this D, 8D, 9D. I've mostly heard a lot about 5D out of all of the different dimensions that supposedly we are ascending to. I've been hearing a lot about 5D. And 5D is about love. What is the fifth house about? Literally love. This person has the sun in the fifth house. Their ego, their courage, their bravery, their individuality as well is coming from the fifth dimension of love, of pleasure, and of joy. Okay, so with the sixth dimension here, having a stellium here, let me move this down a little bit, fix my shirt a little bit. So with the sixth dimension here, this person must kind of, or I don't want to say must, but sure, must understand that they're naturally operating like this. So it's nothing that you need to do. You don't need to create more schedules. You don't need to, add more vitamins into your daily supplements if that's not what you plan or need to do per se. Really, what it means is just that if this person needs to, for example, needs any luck, or needs some kind of needs to have some initiative, needs something weird, right? Or something very individualistic, right? Because we have Uranus here, wants to understand more about where their aesthetic comes from, or maybe is having a hard time looking at the beauty of life and whatnot, that they need to tap into the sixth dimension. Okay, so for example, like I said, pets, domesticated animals is part of the sixth house. So this person, if they don't have a pet, they should get one. But if they can't, there's definitely other ways. Volunteering, just like we said, the sixth house is the house of service, so they could always volunteer at an animal shelter. That's also another way to hone in on that sixth dimensional energy. They get to be around the sixth dimension. Does that make sense? There are places, just like how we talk about, for example, the 11th house. Sorry, the ninth house is the house of churches and universities. So somebody with a ninth house stellium should maybe volunteer at a church or at a university. You know, especially if they kind of feel out of sorts with life, then you need to be around whatever that dimension is, because again, it already exists here. That's how they even exist. Does that make sense? It's one, remember, buildings are just buildings. Schools are just schools, banks are just banks. And I'm talking about the outside of it. They're all made with what? Maybe concrete, maybe wood, except they're all made with the same things. But what makes a bank and a school and a church is the dimension in which they are operating in. And so pay attention to where you have a stellium. Or again, even if you need a little boost in your ninth, you know, in the ninth dimension of beliefs and of higher learning, then you want to pay attention to the rulership. Okay, so we have the ninth dimension and we're looking at 21-degree Aries ruled by Mars here. And I'm pretty sure most of this person's chart is all going to go back either to the sixth house or just some, because there's a stellium there, so 9 times out of 10 it's going to go back to something having to do with the sixth house. Now, don't get me wrong, when we're looking at Mercury, it didn't, but hello, we have Sag rulership is in the sixth house. So that's another thing about stelliums too. You're going to notice 9 times out of 10 that people, the energies are going to go back to whatever house that is. So interesting. So my friend just texted me and told me that Charmed, the original, uh, the original one that came out in 1998, which was the year that I was born, is having a Netflix unlimited series. And that's so funny because I just started watching Charmed again, like actually probably sorry, I just put it on mute on accident. Um, I started watching Charms a couple of months ago, actually, and now they're coming out with that limited series. I did watch the new one, actually, but I didn't like it. I watched like 2 episodes. So, yeah, most of everything is going to go back to wherever there's a stellium. And if you don't have a stellium, it's going to go back to like 1 or 2 points in your chart. Pay attention to what dimension that is. And you want to be involved within that dimension if you're not already, because that is going to help you in the second dimension naturally. Because again, a lot of these dimensions are being kind of not filtered, but are being, what's the word that I'm looking for? Sure, I'll use filtered. They're being filtered through the second dimension, just like us. We are also being filtered through the second dimension because we are spirits having human experiences. And the human body exists in the second dimension, but our spirit and our soul exists in the 12th dimension. Some people would say the soul is the fourth dimension or the eighth dimension, and then the spirit is the first. Like a lot of people would say different things, but the whole point that I'm making is that the spirit that lives within us, the soul that lives within us, is not from the second dimension. It's from another dimension. Okay, so that's another way we are filtered through. And I have a video that talks about Saturn and the price of the body, and that's a little bit about that too. So let's do a little bit more about the second house because I know a lot of people want to know about money, resources, income, stuff like that. So something that I find really interesting too is like the sixth dimension is all of the dimensions are beautiful, but one thing I can say is the sixth dimension is beautiful because I know that a lot of people when they do psychedelics, there is this unwavering wanting to be of service. And as we know, the sixth dimension is directly across from the 12th dimension. And the 12th dimension is what? Sorry, let me just. The 12th dimension is what? It's transcendence. Okay. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about the second dimension. Why don't we? So, the second dimension here at 21 degrees, we have Virgo. So let's say this person isn't really having the best time in this second dimension when it comes to acquiring income and things of that nature. So what should they do, right? The second dimension is Virgo, right? And Virgo is the sign of what? It's the sign of cycles, and it's the sign of the maiden. Okay, it's the sign of like what is it, the Madonna horror complex, something like that. That's also Virgo. Virgo is the sign of cleanliness, purity. And it's not saying that you necessarily need to be like that. Because you have Virgo in the second house, you're probably already looked at like that, right? You probably appear as that. That's how your body kind of looks. So it is important to pay attention to that, okay? Because our biggest asset, our biggest value really is our bodies, as much as we don't really like to admit it, because it's like, well, what am I supposed to do with that? You know what I mean? Like, but it's true. And remember, Virgo has to do with I don't think Virgo's hands, I think that's Gemini, if I'm not mistaken. Virgo is the stomach, the digestive system. Um, so perhaps this person could have something to do with something that helps people with bowel movements, or um, helps people with their stomach in some way, shape, or form. This could even be a little bit of Reiki, but I'm not really seeing that with that Sag in the fourth. But the rulership of that Sag is in the sixth in Aquarius, so totally could be. But I would say second house, whatever your second house is, go to whatever dimension that is. Go to the energy of that dimension. So if you're a Virgo in the second house, then you need to go someplace or be in that energy of Virgo. That's going to help your second house. Be in the energy of Virgo. That is going to ignite that second dimension. Okay. The same thing goes for, we were just talking about ninth dimension, and maybe this person wants to get into higher learning, or wants to really kind of think about their beliefs, their higher beliefs a little bit more. Then you need to go to a place that is more Aryan, because that's naturally going to activate your ninth house. Naturally. I mean, the ninth dimension. It's naturally going to activate it. Okay. Go to the gym. There's so many things that have to do with Aries. Whatever Aryan thing you do as a Leo rising at 21 degree is going to activate your ninth house. You don't have to really think about it too much, because again, it's already going to activate yours, because we are our charts. We are our charts. The chart wouldn't be there if it wasn't for us. You get what I mean? So same thing goes for, let's talk about romance, which is the fifth house. Let's talk about romance. All right. Now I'm actually going to use a different color. Let's use pink. That's not really pink. Use this one. All right. Okay. Let's say you're having a hard time in romance. Girl, if you don't get your ass by the Capitol State Building, ah, or let's say, for example, you are feeling a little bit just not having a lot of lust for life. You're not really feeling, you know, you're not really feeling the energy of what's going on in your life right now. Take your ass to the Capitol Building, Capricorn in the fifth, or just be around Capricorn energy. Go to the old folks home. Go to the old folks home. Or, another thing too, you could even go to a piece of property. Even though this is what I'm talking about is a little bit more Cancerian. But I would even say go to a piece of property that that has a lot of history behind it. Okay. That's literally going to activate your fifth dimension. Okay. So yeah, you just want to be in the spaces because all these dimensions already exist, and you just want to already be there, if that makes sense. You want to channel from that dimension, and a way to channel from that dimension is by being in that space. So just want to use this example again just before I get off. If I'm having a hard time with ninth house things, or maybe I do want to foreign travel, or maybe I do want to, you have to activate that dimension. It's already there. Just activate it by being in those spaces. So I'm trying to think of something. Aries in the ninth house. Let me think of a place, because it's not giving church. It's not giving school. I mean, it could be giving preschool or daycare. I'm getting more so like daycare, but no, that's not even giving ninth house. It's just Aries. And that's more, Leo too, fifth house. But so let me think. Aries in the ninth house. I'm trying to think of a religion that gives me Aryan vibes. And I'm specifically trying to think of a place that's Aries, but also very much. You know what? If you figure it out, please let us know in the comments, because I will be sitting here all day trying to think about it. And I know it's going to come later, but right now I can't really think about it. So I hope that this video helped you guys understand more about your chart and helped you to, really kind of see whichever dimension that you're mostly operating in as a dimension that matters. Okay. I know that there is an overemphasis on the second dimension to the point where sometimes we don't eat. Like sometimes when people talk about looking at the second house and the 10th house for how to make income, I'm annoyed at that point. Okay, maybe I'm not the only one. So I hope that this gave you a newfound perspective on different dimensions and how all of them matter. And how we have access to all of them, whether or not you have a stellium there or not. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Remember, I have opened my books for astrology and dream readings. The link will be down in the bio. It's on Calendly. If you refer someone, you get 20% off. So the person you refer will pay full price, and then you'll get 20% off any reading of your choosing. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys on my next video. Bye.